Good morning and welcome to TMS Book Club. My name is Sowela Langeni from Book Circle Capital. We're an independent bookshop that focuses on African literature, always on the pulse of some of the latest fascinating stories in this our beautiful country. Today, we are discussing 100 Years of Dispossession by Lebogang Seale. Lebogang is a multi-award winning journalist, a media and communications practitioner, and who's now an author. Good morning, Lebogang, and thank you for being here.
Oh yes, good morning, pleasure to have me.
Now, in recent years, there's been so many books about land that's been written in South Africa, and I wondered what drove you to also weigh in on this topic and add your voice to the fray?
Yeah, that is quite right. I mean, there has been a proliferation of a lot of books on land reform in recent years.
Yes.
And I think, firstly, just to say that the story that I write about is so hidden. It's in a very remote area, but the events around the story are chilling, traumatic, but also very hidden from the public. And I thought that I could use this story to illuminate greater issues around land reform and create awareness. But also, I think this one is unique in the sense that it is more personal story.
Yes.
You know, it tells issues of land reform, not much about policies and legislation that underpins it, but, you know, weaving personal stories into that.
Yeah.
That's what makes it unique.
No, definitely. The fact that it's your own personal story and about your own family and community, it makes it definitely unique. It's more about, the facts do come through, but it's very personal. And in fact, I wanted to know from you that, you know, how was it writing about a story where your family has been in this fight to get their piece of land back, and in 2005 you get news that, you know, it is a valid land claim, but to this day you still don't have ownership of the land. Speak to us about this process of writing this book.
Because of the frustrations, you know, with trying to get back the land that never comes.
Yeah.
And then I thought maybe writing a book was the way to go, you know, to bring this to, you know, awareness of the broader public, and share this as well. But also for me, seeing the elders, the founding members as well of the land claim dying while waiting for the land, that was touching for me.
Yeah.
And then so I thought this was something compelling to write about. Yeah. But also something to that is that whenever there are ceremonies at home, whether it's funerals or other parties or events, you have small communities of people gathering and talking about their experiences back, you know, on the land. And then some of those stories, although painful, but they tell them in a very jocular and fascinating way. And then you say, you know what? They keep on retelling these stories. So why not write a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And almost immortalize even those that have since passed, still waiting for this.
Yeah, immortalize them, but also just to bring to light how our government is failing communities. Because I can tell you, as I reflect in the book, that all the systems and the mechanisms for land restitutions are there.
Yeah.
There is just three things.
Yeah.
One, there is the ineptitude by the government, you know, not really knowing how to get around this issue, the lack of clarity and the conflicts and conflicting messages thereof, but also I think the issues of lack of political will.
Yeah,
that is something that they just don't have that will. The willpower is not there. But also I think issues of greed and corruption that are, you know, standing on the way. Because when you have our government officials, politicians have invested interests, and we have seen, and also, you know, the corruption around land reform. We have read a lot of stories around that.
And it was something that I found quite intriguing, because come 1995, the issue of land was paramount. There was law put aside to say, you know, which is something that's said by Dikgang Musene again, you're forward, that land repossession was one of the key things that when we came into power, we put that down. But how many years later, very few people, because your story is actually a story of many families. We've got a lot of books in here that alludes to families that are still fighting.
No, absolutely. I mean, there is a reason why back then, around 1995, just after the end of apartheid, land reform was seen as a signpost of the end of apartheid and a flagship project for the democratic project, the new democracy, as a flagship project. But I think then what happens is that the government was in a bit of a haste to put this thing together, but I don't think there are proper, structures that we put to make sure that there is proper research around land reform.
What I also appreciated is the book was not only about shining a light on this issue of land reform and the challenges it faced, but you also took it as a way to celebrate the people in your families. Shine the light on the lives of farm workers and living on white farms and the type of life they lived. You celebrate your parents and all the members of the family. Why this angle as well?
Yeah, very interesting, because this is quite a unique story, and then there's a lot of things, events around it that are quite fascinating, although painful. I mean, there I tell a story of this black woman who fell in love with a white farmer, and there was a lot of drama around that, you know. But what I do as well, I weave in the legislation around mixed marriages, you know, to contextualize that story. But I thought it was a beautiful story to be told. The story of my mom, for an example, very strong-willed woman who has, her views that are not necessarily aligned with what the community thinks. So, but I also needed to show her creativity and resourcefulness, you know, on the farm and even at the village. So there are multiple stories that are beautiful, you know, different people. That
the narratives within the narrative.
The narrative, the story within the story, or the story behind the story.
Exactly. And the land itself in Limpopo, I mean, you write it so beautifully. One reading wants to actually travel and go see that place.
Absolutely, because it's a beautiful land. And then in one of the chapters, I write about the tree that will not die. You know, just to describe the beauty of the land, the scenery there. This is the tree where our homestead was located. And then what happened over the years that I think it was chopped down. But this tree grew back, you know, and then in a way refusing to die, and then trying to say that our history on the land as a community, should not be done away with, and it should not die. So,
and a powerful way to make sure that our stories are not erased, and how we can do that is through books. What do you want readers to take away from this book?
I think the main thing here is that from an African perspective, you know, Africa is a very rich country. The cultural heritage in Africa, and I believe each one of us has a story to tell and share with the world. And unfortunately, over the years, there's been other people telling our own stories
on
as
our
African,
behalf.
on our behalf, and then there's sometimes issues of distorting, you know, the reality and the stories. So what I'm trying to demonstrate out of this book is to try and inspire other young, emerging African writers that we can tell our own stories in the manner that we want, and to avoid the distortions and then all of those things. Yes.
We congratulate you so much on your book. I would encourage our viewers to get a copy, because this is a story that most families will relate to. You've had it here on TMS Book Club with me, Sewela Langeni. Copies of the book are available here at Book Circle Capital and good bookstores nationwide. Thank you for watching.